The following podcast contains movie spoilers and mature content, including graphic descriptions of violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Opening Kill, the podcast that dives deep into the chilling world of horror films. Every Thursday, we explore a different movie, from cult classics to modern masterpieces, uncovering behind-the-scenes secrets, analyzing themes, and sharing fun facts about your favorite horror films. Join us as we chat with filmmakers and fellow horror film fans to celebrate the fear in cinema. And now, the hosts of Opening Kill, Michael Doran and Brian O'Connor.
Greetings.
Greetings, Brian. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
A lot better now.
I was going to say you didn't have a voice as of 2 days ago.
No, it was bad and still not great. I feel like I sound still a little bit garbagey, but that's fine.
That's all
I
right.
can at least make sound come out, so that's an improvement.
Welcome to episode 8 of Opening Kill, all things horror that we discuss here on the show. Glad to have you here. I want to welcome listeners from Peru and Australia who have joined the podcast.
Yeah, down under.
Loving that.
The land of Bluey.
That's right. So we are going to tackle a movie that I love.
Yeah.
I know you love.
I do. I think it's extremely underrated.
And it's actually a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
It is called The Thing.
Yep, which is the, same title as the 80s one.
And you know why? They could not think of a better title than that.
And it's pretty great.
And it was supposed to actually be a sequel or a remake or a sequel. And they decided, no, it was going to be a remake. That's what it was. And they thought, no. The director was like, the studio wanted the remake. The director was like, no, because the original 1982 film from John Carpenter is perfect. And it would be like drawing a mustache on the Mona Lisa if we did a remake. So
Fair.
we want to do it. So they pitched it as a prequel and boom, there it is.
I mean, the original sets you up to be able to make a movie like this perfectly. Yeah. It's like they just, it's basically starts with a destroyed research center that went through the thing that they're about to go through.
Exactly.
So it's perfect for a prequel.
I saw one of the worst movies I think I've seen in quite a while. It's a movie that starred Gary Busey, and I think
Oh God.
I think it was at a point in his life where he was having trouble getting work, so he was just taking whatever he could get. A 2005 film called The Ginger Dead Man.
With a title like that,
it's
going to be a winner.
Well, and here's the deal. He plays a really bad guy. He's only in it for, I think, the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then it's just his voice. But he basically goes into a cafe to rob it, and then he ends up killing like some of the family that owns the cafe. The film jumps forward a couple of years, whatever. He's executed for his crime, and then he's reanimated, and he comes back as a gingerbread man and in this bakery, and he's terrorizing the people there. And one of the girls, her family was killed in the cafe, and now she works at the bakery. And so, boy, here's the deal. The movie itself was 60 minutes.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
It's brief.
The credits were 13 minutes because I guess they wanted to make it look like it was a longer film.
What, did they just move super slowly?
It did. The title crawl was one of the slowest that I've ever seen. They did, they flashed the actors' names first, one at a time, and then there comes the credit roll with the same names, which, I mean, that's done. But
yeah.
It was moving so slow. I'm just...
Gotta pad that runtime.
They did. That's all they were doing. But I knew it was going to be bad just based on reviews. And, with reviews, whatever. I don't put a lot of credence into some reviews. And it certainly doesn't sway me from
Right.
seeing a movie or not. And so I did watch it. The reviews were bad. And bad movies can be fun.
Exactly.
This one, not so much.
Oh, it's just bad.
It's just bad. It says it's a comedy horror. Well, take the word comedy out of there, and even horror is borderline. I mean, there were some kills, but even the fake blood was like, I think I don't know.
I mean, probably the scariest thing in it is Gary Busey's face.
He was. Oh my God. And the way they morphed him into this little gingerbread character, it was pretty crazy.
I'm looking at a picture of the gingerbread man.
Yeah, what do you think?
He's great. Like, what a disgusting little shit.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's it.
Why does his face kind of look like a butthole?
And you know what? It changes throughout the movie. So there's no consistency with how he looks. It's like different.
They gave him Gary Busey's buck teeth.
Yeah, they did. And it's him voicing the character. But again, I just think he was looking for work. And his agent said, well, it's this or nothing. So anyway, the Ginger Dead Man from 2005.
Yeah.
Even the script was terrible. And the acting, I mean, there's only so much you can do as an actor with a bad script and a director who just misses the mark on everything. So I can't blame the actors, but steer clear of that one.
But you can always blame Gary Busey, no matter what. Yeah, I saw a significantly better movie. I saw this movie Beazle from 2024. It's about this, kind of the house is, I guess, the main character, because it shows multiple families and their lives in this house dealing with this witch who lives in the basement. And it's just really interesting. There's some stuff that's found footage. Most of it isn't, though. Really genuinely creepy, I thought. And for the budget, so impressive what they were able to pull off. So I recommend Beazle to, honestly, anyone. I thought it was fantastic.
Right on.
Like, I was really stoked at the end of it. And then I also watched the 1999 classic Lake Placid.
Oh,
with Betty White.
I enjoy that movie.
I love Betty White calling people like fucking cocksuckers and shit.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, good. I'll have to check that one out. That one sounds way better than what I sat through. I mean, thank God it was only 60 minutes. I was surprised when it ended. I'm like, what? Wait, what? It's only been like an hour. And then the credits just...
Did you watch all the credits?
I did.
Yes.
I did. Yeah, it was kind of fun just to see how many of the same people are listed multiple times. You know there's no
How
money.
great would it be if they literally just like ran it twice?
I know, right?
Like, we're getting 90 minutes no matter what.
We'll get there. The little credits that could.
Right. Yeah. It's an underdog story.
Oh, Freddie Prinze Jr. was on a podcast recently and talking about the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, which returns to theaters July 18th. This is one of my favorite franchises, minus the third movie, which was, I think it was just direct-to-video, and it starred none of the original cast members. So, the first two were, I thought, very, very good. So this one is a direct sequel to the first one, the second one. The second one. And he was talking about the roles that he and Jennifer Love Hewitt are going to have in this movie because they're the only two original cast members coming back.
Right.
And he said that they are not the leads in this movie by any stretch of the imagination, that the director took really good care of their characters, and they're really there just to push the new cast and kind of launch them into this. So I almost think that there are going to be more movies with the new cast.
Like, yeah.
The next generation, basically, of I Know What You Did Last Summer. But I'm really looking forward to that. Again, the release date is July 18th for the still untitled I Know What You Did Last Summer. So, yeah.
It's coming. Yeah, the kind of newsy thing that I've excited about is a little bit different. We're actually going to be a book that is coming out that I'm super excited for. You've read the author, Stephen Graham Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic author. My favorite author, probably. Yeah. I'm actually rereading one of his books I've read before right now, but he's got one coming out in March called The Buffalo Hunter, and it's going to be a set in 1912, and it's going to be a vampire story.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Ooh, so I just finished. It took me forever, and not because it wasn't good. My schedule is just
it's a big one too.
Crazy. But there is the Angel of Indian Lake, I think was the third one in the Indian Lake trilogy.
Yep.
And before that, it starts out with My Heart is a Chainsaw, Don't Fear the Reaper, and then the Angel of Indian Lake. They're all horror film themed.
Yep.
The protagonist, Jade, she is a huge horror fan, and
specifically slasher,
specifically that. And so Final Girl plays huge role in all of these books. So Stephen Graham Jones, if you've not read him, I highly recommend it. You actually are the one that turned me on to those books.
He's by far my favorite author. He's just incredible. And that trilogy is beautiful. I think it's just incredibly done.
I wish they would turn that into a film series.
I would say
That would
like
be
even like a
amazing.
mini series, like on HBO or something,
Right.
because so you could get all the details, because there's a
You know,
lot of information in those books.
There are a lot of those stories where you really need a miniseries to
Mhm.
tell it. Otherwise, you're compressing everything into one film or whatever, and yeah, you don't get the full effect
Yeah.
here. So
Because it's a rich trilogy. I think that it would benefit from definitely more
Yeah.
long form.
I think so too. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, shall we get into The Thing?
I think we shall.
2011 is when this came out, directed by Matthias Van Hennigan, released on October 14th, 2011. It was shot between March and June of 2010, various parts of Canada, including Pinewood Studios in Toronto, on a budget of $38 million. Unfortunately, it only made back $31.5 million.
Yeah.
It is a direct prequel to John Carpenter's 1982 horror classic. And literally, this film ends right where the original John Carpenter film picks up. The same scene, basically. And they reshot it, not shot for shot, but very, very close. In fact, they had screenshots of the original film on the set of this film to make sure that they were true to the surrounding. It's set in Antarctica. It's a research station, and a team of Norwegian researchers just discovered a buried alien spacecraft and a frozen alien.
Yeah.
And when they inadvertently release the creature, it shapeshifts, it assimilates. There are some very cool effects in this thing. And I forgot how much I enjoyed it.
It's great. Yeah.
I hadn't seen it in a lot of years until this weekend and this past weekend, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. It's a blast. It's a fun little like popcorn horror film.
Yeah. So basically, like we said, it's a team of researchers. They recruit an American paleontologist to come up and go with them to help extract the alien creature that is entombed in ice below the surface. They end up taking it back to their laboratory, their station, whatever you want to call it. And all hell breaks loose before too long.
Yeah. I think this, how this movie opens kills me every time. Yeah. The conversation between the two Norwegian guys, where I hope it's a joke they're telling, where it's about the son walking in on the dad banging his mom. And then the dad walks in on his son banging his mom. It's like,
and the kid looks at his dad and goes, "So, well, what was the line?
It's not so fun when it's happening to you, is it?
Happening to your mama."
What a way to open a film.
It was a very funny joke, very funny line there. So they're going along, and then all of a sudden, the guy in the back is watching like the radar, and they're getting close to the spaceship, and all of a sudden the ice breaks, and this thing goes down into.
Yeah,
which
I'm like, how did they get out?
We never see that.
Yeah, I'd like
they
to.
survive it.
I know,
but they went down quite a ways, and they got wedged in between, the ice.
Little ice walls, and I mean,
and the little ATV thing they're in, it just gets stuck, and then they see the spaceship, and then it cuts to a little bit later.
Yeah, and that's where they're recruiting Mary Beth Winstead. Is that her name?
Yeah, that's her. I think that's her. Yeah. Kate is her character name.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I love her as an actor,
she's great.
Actress.
She is great, and they convince her to fly in a helicopter to the Antarctica.
Yep.
And upon their arrival, basically they get into a snowcat, go to the site where they get the full view of the top of the ship, and they end up removing the alien and bring it back to their camp, and it's encased in ice.
Because she's like an expert at dealing with specifically like frozen bodies, right?
Yeah.
I think that's definitely her specialty. So they're like, we need her, get this thing out of here.
Well, at the very beginning, you see her in her lab, and she's got like a saber-toothed tiger or some prehistoric cat that's been frozen and everything else. So that's why they tapped her to come down and do this. So they get there and they bring the alien creature back, and the main scientist, or even if he is a scientist, he's a Norwegian scientist. He's the main, kind of the antagonist. He's kind of a jerk.
He sucks. He's a dick.
His name is Sander.
Yeah, and I think he's just the lead of the team.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Can maybe bankrolling this thing too.
True. He definitely seems like he's rich. He's got that attitude to him.
Right. He decides he wants to take a sample of a tissue sample before they can get it out of the ice.
Against everyone's better judgment.
Yeah, and he does it anyway. And then they get the sample. And then later that night, this creature ends up breaking out of the ice.
Yeah, it's pretty darn cool. Just like, I kind of like how you don't get like a clear look of it because it's in the ice, but the fact that we get like the original form of it, at least somewhat visible, I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So they're all, hanging out in their main living area.
Just celebrating the fact that they found this thing. And
yeah, they're having this party, and then they send somebody down to grab the, what was he going to
I think
grab?
he was grabbing like
Beer,
more drinks or something. Yeah,
it was their stash.
Yeah. He's just grabbing a keg or two. I don't know. But yeah, he witnesses this thing breaks out and he's freaking the fuck out. He runs back. He's like, it's gone. It's gone.
And they don't believe him.
Yeah, they're like, shut up. This thing didn't jump out of an ice block.
Right.
And so he goes and shows them. And they're like, oh shit.
So they end up going down there, the entire group, and then they realize, oh, this happened, and this thing jumped up, and it's out, and who knows where it is.
This thing we know nothing about is now free.
Right. So they go on a little search mission.
Yeah, they split up. They do the old Scooby-Doo thing.
Yeah.
Like, split up, gang.
2 to 3 people in a group.
Yeah.
And so 2 of the Norwegians, Henrik and Olaf, see the thing under one of the buildings, and it looks very funky.
Isn't he like eating a dog?
Yeah.
At this point?
He's eaten the dog.
Right.
Yeah. So the dog is gone at this point.
Rest in peace.
We won't count that as the opening kill. That's coming though, real quick here.
Mere seconds.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, in fact,
let's just do
you're
it.
absolutely right.
The opening kill.
At 29 minutes and 1 second into the film, we have our opening kill. It is Henrik, who has his back turned to the creature, who impales him through the back.
Yeah, he like shoots his little like tentacle thing out, comes through his chest, and then rips him back underneath the building.
Yep.
And I'm glad that we have an opening kill that's like actually good. I feel like it's been a minute.
I think
since
it has.
we've had an actually cool opening kill.
It has been.
So I'm like, okay, we're back. But yeah, like this one, he gets. I mean, just the tentacle bursting through his chest is cool.
Right.
But then you get him dragged back and you see this creature just like devouring him.
Yeah.
And blood's kind of splattering everywhere.
Well, and how about Olaf getting the blood splatter in the face after the thing went through?
Yeah, that's
Henrik.
always great when
it was
you get
fantastic.
your friend's blood splattered on you. And just I love how like Norwegian these names are. They're like the most generic Norwegian names. What's his name gonna be? Like, Olaf, why not?
Now we have our first kill. Olaf screams.
And what would you rate it? Like I'd rate this opening kill like an A.
I think it's
great.
Give it a very strong. Yeah,
okay. I think it sets up the movie perfectly. You're like, this is what this thing can do.
Right.
And now we're going to see it do it to a lot more people.
Well, and so Olaf screams and everybody comes running and then they start shooting at it, which is doing nothing. It's not, the only way to destroy this thing is by flame.
Basically.
And they just happen to have flamethrowers at the base. I love that.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Just keep that spare flamethrower.
At least they had flamethrowers and they didn't have to like resort to like lighting aerosol on fire with like a lighter or something.
Right, right.
Or like tag body spray. That's very flammable.
Oh my God. Well, they do set it on fire and Henrik still hanging out of the thing's mouth.
His fucking feet are just out.
I know, just dangling out there. And he falls to the ground. The thing falls to the ground dead. Everybody goes back in now. They're dazed. They're like, what just happened? What's going on?
Our friend just died.
Our friend died.
Yeah.
Help us. And then there's some other characters that are starting to freak out here. And Sander tells the team that although Henrik is dead, damn it, they're still scientists and they still have work to do and they still need to study the thing
right. So they drag this fucker out from under the house.
The burned remains, drag it back in
with his little feet hanging out still. This is honestly a sick scene though.
It's an autopsy.
The autopsy scene is so awesome.
Yeah,
because you get this like they cut it open and you see Henrik inside this thing, but it's not Henrik. Like you see the process of creating the Henrik
Right,
thing version.
Yeah.
Which I just thought it was it looked cool too.
Oh, it does.
The effects on this thing is sick.
Really does. And so they're rooting around in there, and all of a sudden Kate pulls out this little
Yeah.
metal piece. Well, it was, it was
He broke his leg
broke
or
his
something.
leg. So it was like the metal that they put in, and metal rod basically. And so we come to find out that the thing, it assimilates with people
Yep.
and it takes over their bodies, but it can't handle like foreign objects like
Right.
metal.
Yep.
So,
So I can't recreate that. So
Exactly.
And she asked, she's like, well, if that's him, why is this outside of him? Because they still don't quite know it yet.
Right.
They're starting to put some pieces together, but they haven't completely figured out what the hell's going on here yet.
It's not till later when Kate is in her lab and they're looking at the tissue sample and they're looking at the cells
Yeah.
of the alien overtaking the human cells, and it's still alive.
Right.
And another character by the name of Adam is in there with her, and she says, "Adam, come here, look at this." And that's when it really hits them that, oh, okay, it's actually replicating the
Right.
cells
Like-
and assimilating and becoming that person.
Yeah. Kate figures it out first, and she tries to. What's the name of the guy who's there with her?
That's Adam.
Adam. So, quick little thingy. Adam, his actor, he is from Oregon.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's from Eugene.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Just up the freeway from
Just
us.
off the freeway. Yeah.
Nice.
But
nice.
so yeah, she's figuring it out. And Olaf though is now sick.
Yep.
He's not doing well at all because he got the blood splattered on his face.
Right.
And they're thinking they're gonna have to get him out of there. They're like, we got to take him to some. We're not medically cleared to handle this situation, so we're gonna take him to some hospital. So they're loading him up with the pilot Sam and his buddy. I don't know why that guy's always with Sam, but
Right. But
yeah.
they are.
They're a thing. They're a couple.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of pals.
Couple pals.
And so they're taking off. They're getting the hell out of there. And Kate then notices a huge blood splatter in the shower
Mm-hmm.
and some little metal pieces that are bloody on the floor.
Dental fillings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she figures out that's what it is. And she's like, that confirms it for her. She's like, shit.
No body anywhere
Yeah,
near
exactly.
this.
So she's like, shit, someone is now the thing. And she's trying to track down the helicopters. She's
Wave
like,
it down
"Come
because
on."
it's already taken off with those guys.
They're
going to go
almost out of there.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, come back. And they're kind of looking down. They're like, oh.
So I thought they were going to just ignore her and
I
go.
thought so too.
But they ended up deciding to land, although they don't get that far.
Right, because the thing is now realizes he's not getting out of there.
And that would be the character of Griggs, who's on the helicopter.
Yep, not Olaf.
Not Olaf.
No.
No. Griggs.
Griggs. And this scene, the effects look terrible on it.
Yeah.
I hate this one specifically, but what happens is cool. Like you see him sitting there and then his face just like shifts before breaking open into like this giant mouth, and then his chest breaks open and the tentacles fly out. And
Yep.
I mean, it's cool what happens, but
Yeah.
I wish it looked a little better, which, it originally did.
Yeah, it did. It did. Let's talk about that.
Why not? This is kind of the first instance of it.
So the director of this film did not want to use CGI. He
Nope.
wanted to use practical effects for the biggest reason. The biggest reason was he wanted the actors to have something to react to
Yeah.
and to help their performances. The studio told him, well, that's fine, but we're going to come in later and they used some CG, quite a bit of CG when it didn't, they shouldn't have, in
No,
my opinion,
they
but they
shouldn't have.
did.
No, the stuff that you can see, there's like some videos on YouTube where you can see a lot of these visual effects done, and they look fantastic.
Mhm.
Like this scene specifically, they show it, and it's like, damn,
Why didn't
that
they
looks
just,
so cool.
yeah.
But
Yep.
we're not studio executives, so
No,
we don't
we're
get to make
not.
those calls.
We sure don't.
even though we'd be so good at it.
So Griggs was kill number 2, and then the tentacles come out, and he attacks Olaf, who is kill number 3, basically. And Kate and Sander are down on the ground watching the helicopter. It's now spinning out of control, and then it crashes way, way far away, and you just assume that, well, okay, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to that because not everybody's dead. But the team gets back together inside, and then Kate tells everybody about the silver fillings that she found.
Exactly.
And about her theory about the cells, what they're doing, they're replicating. And her theory is that the thing can basically replicate any organism perfectly, but any inorganic matter, such as the metal teeth fillings or that, that metal rod, can't do that. So
it spits that shit out.
It does. It does. So that's how you tell, if somebody is a thing. They won't have fillings or anything like that.
Right.
So yeah.
So you get this cool scene where she's kind of telling the crew all of this theory, and she notices as well that the blood in the shower is now magically cleaned up, like completely, it's gone. So now she's kind of thinking, shit, I guess there's another thing among us now.
Right, exactly. There's a Russian camp that's nearby.
Right.
So now they want to go there to get help. Juliet stays behind with Kate and tells her that she saw another one of their team members with a rag coming from the bathroom. Kate tells her that they need to stop the team from leaving. And Juliet basically says, okay, I know where the keys are to the snowcat. But they go into that room to get the keys. And then Kate is looking in a drawer when she hears this noise behind her. And this is my favorite kill. This is Juliet splitting in half.
This one's pretty cool looking.
This was pretty cool. Kill number 4 goes to Juliet. And then the Juliet thing goes after Kate.
And it's like just how it looks is kind of looks like she just got a giant mouth in her chest, and like her head and her arms are just like flailing behind as it runs. It looks pretty cool.
So Kate takes off running, and another Norwegian comes out, and she tells him to run. He's like, huh? What? And too late, because boom, the thing just impales him. And that is the Norwegian Carl, who is now number 5.
Oh, Carl, we barely knew you.
I know, and you're done.
So what's that up to now?
That's 5.
5?
That's
okay.
5.
We're making good progress
Yeah,
with these
we
kills.
We are. So basically now, the team gets together again, and Kate tells them it's kind of like a virus. And anybody who gets blood or part of the thing's cells onto them is assimilated. And so Adam says basically they need to quarantine everybody that they suspect, and they need to isolate this and destroy it
until they can figure out exactly completely wipe this thing off.
So they decide to do a blood test to see who might be infected. Adam and Sander together again in the lab, and Lars and Kate dismantle all of the snowcats so nobody can go anywhere and spread this thing. And then Lars shows Kate a stash of conveniently placed grenades.
Yeah.
They're in this big case outside, covered up.
Every research base needs some grenades.
Well, I think so. And as they head back, they see part of the camp on fire, and it's the lab.
Yep.
The lab has been set on fire.
Oh, convenient.
Right?
They were figuring out a way they can completely identify who's the thing, and now it's gone.
Now it's gone.
They're going to figure something else out, which they kind of do.
Yeah, they do.
It's a temporary fix. I really like this scene, though. Kate's kind of telling them, well, they can't recreate fillings, so that's something we can just see. So they kind of go through the team one by one and being like, all right, open up.
Right.
And they put the ones who have fillings on one side and who don't on the other. And I love how some of the ones who don't have any fillings are what, we're going to get punished just because we brush?
Right. Well, now, before they got into that, they're still outside, and they see 2 figures approaching them from the horizon. And, it's Jameson and Carter from the helicopter who actually survived the crash. And everybody just assumes, all right, these guys are infected. They need to be put away. So they locked him in the shed.
Yeah, they locked him in the dog pen.
Yeah, pretty much. That's when they all go in, and that's when Kate starts doing the inspection. And there's a couple of them who do not want to participate, so they're suspected and they're isolated. And it
ends up clearing everyone except for Sander, Edvard, Adam, and Colin.
Right. And then they send Lars and Jonas, who's another Norwegian, to go out to the building to get Jameson and Carter and bring them back. And they realize they've escaped through a hole in the floor. So Lars goes after him, trying to find them, and runs into a building and is suddenly pulled inside. Jonas runs back to the others to tell them Carter and Jameson have killed Lars. Well, no one knows that, and we never see that happening.
Right. And I get this is a really cool, intense argument scene happening right now too, where like the people on the other side, they're kind of like trying to pit the other Norwegians against the Americans. So like they're talking like in like the foreign language, and like Kate's just like, what the fuck is it? What are they saying?
Yeah.
And they're being like, they're just trying to like, I love this scene. It's very intense. They're screaming. And I think it's probably extremely realistic as to what would actually be happening. Like people, they'd be turning on each other instantly.
There was an episode of The X-Files that came out well before this movie, where it's set at a base in the Arctic, not the Antarctica, but up the Arctic somewhere. And it's kind of the same thing where a virus is spreading and they're going after each other. And I thought of this as I was watching this movie. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember an X-Files episode that was very similar to this.
That's just a great setting.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's just so isolated. And honestly, anytime like even something as simple as snow can really elevate a horror setting.
Right.
And this has got a lot of snow and just like complete isolation. It's incredible.
So Carter and Jameson get back to the main building now, and Jameson is armed with a flamethrower. Comes in. They have a standoff with Pater, and the rest of the team hide behind Pater. Edvard yells at Pater to kill Carter and Jameson, but just before Pater gets him with a flamethrower, Jameson shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
So Pater is kill number 6.
Pater with a D.
With a D, but Jameson also hits the flamethrower tank, and so the fuel pours out. And the gas reaches the flame on the end of the thrower, and
kaboom.
Boom! Edvard gets thrown down, and he's hurt pretty bad by the blast. And now Carter and Jameson have all the weapons. They're like in control of this.
Yeah,
whole
how
thing.
the tables turned.
Right, very quickly.
They're like,
very
you know
quickly.
what? We came back from this helicopter crash. We're going to take over immediately.
So this is a cool scene
It's
because
pretty cool.
Everybody goes back into their main living room, and 2 of the Norwegians are carrying Edvard, and all of a sudden, Edvard's arms detach,
Fucking fall off,
and they transform into small little
leeches, almost
leeches, little thing-like creatures.
And they, one of them just jumps right on a Tormund Giant Bane's face, and it's just, this is a gross image.
So Edvard is kill number 7.
Yeah, he's the thing.
Now Adam is kill number 8, and he gets killed by a thing arm.
Yeah,
which it's pretty amazing. It is a grotesque scene. What did they?
Because both him and the Jonas get killed by the 2 arms, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the one of them attaches itself to Jonas's face, and it's just like it's very like kind of face hugger from Alien.
Yes.
And that's like the face hugger from Alien is just so horrifying to me. That thought of something just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So this is like honestly the worst way to go in this.
God,
poor
really
Jonas.
Is. Well, now we get into a really cool effect thing because the Edvard thing sprouts a new set of arms and legs and crawls over to Adam and then starts to meld with him. Yeah. And their faces attach, and now they're like one thing.
It's a 2-person mega thing.
Yeah, the Edvard Adam thing. And Kate tries to get it with the flamethrower, but it escapes and falls down in the snow.
Don't they? Do they then, before they chase the other thing, they like burn Jonas's body, right?
They do, yeah. Because they get back into the rec room.
Because he's gonna become a thing.
Jonas has been assimilated by the arm. Which is a funny thing to say. And so so she kills both of them with the flamethrower.
That's gotta suck. You're like, hey, sorry, I know you're not fully turned yet, but I'm gonna burn you alive.
And then Jameson ends up dying in the same scene. So that's kill. Jonas is 9, and Jameson is kill number 10. And then Carter,
we still have this 2-headed thingy running around.
This is the most bizarre thing I've seen in a horror film in a while. And then Kate and Carter are out there looking for it. And Sander is hiding behind a desk. Now, Sander, again, the head scientist.
The douchebag.
Yeah, pretty much. But the thing, which is now fully assimilated with Adam, finds him and attacks him. Carter and Kate.
Don't they hear it?
They do.
Yeah.
They split up, and the thing follows Carter into the kitchen. This is my favorite scene. It's pretty
this is my number one.
Yeah.
this chase scene because
Yep.
I'm a fucking slut for slasher,
Right.
and this is kind of has that like slasher chase scene feel to it, of just Carter just trying to run away from it and kind of especially in the kitchen where he's kind of just it's kind of like actually like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That kitchen scene.
The raptor scene.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
this
very
is.
similar to that.
That is exactly
Yeah.
right.
And it's tense. It's just great.
And again, for a moment, you don't think he's actually going to come into the. It's got the two swinging doors.
Yeah,
and
the classic kitchen.
He's kind of, and then he backs himself into a dead end where he can't get out.
Yeah.
And it does come in, and it finally sees him. But then Kate saves the day with a flamethrower, and
These fucking
Boy.
flamethrowers, man, they're so handy.
I want one.
I do too. I've never wanted a flamethrower until I watched this. I'm like, you know what? I might need one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy. Well, then they see the Sander thing escape in a snowcat.
Because she successfully burns this to a crisp.
She
now.
gets rid of the
this one's
two-headed
dead.
one. Yeah, that one is dead, but the Carter one is now getting away in a snowcat. Or the Sander one.
Yeah, Sander.
Carter tells Kate basically let him go, that he's going to freeze because again they're in the middle of the Antarctica, and that there's nowhere to go.
Except for maybe there is.
Maybe there is that ship.
Mm-hmm.
So Kate and Carter jump into the other snowcat and head towards the ship. And Kate basically looks at the earring on Carter's left ear, which will be important
Yeah. So
later. Carter also tells her that they didn't kill Lars. And then they walk onto the ship, and this is kind of a anxiety-filled scene.
yeah,
Because they start running across the top of the ship, and all of a sudden,
it's like a vent,
Yeah.
like a giant vent, so that kind of like falls, like, and so
and they're trying to
Carter-
outrun it,
right,
basically.
because it starts in the middle and then it's making its way to the edge. So they're trying to make it to the edge. They don't, and this is how they end up getting separated. Is I think Carter falls in, right? Or
No,
is
it's
it-
Kate.
It's Kate.
Kate
Kate
that
who
falls in.
falls in.
And
Okay.
and she falls in, and it's quite a fall into the ship.
Yeah,
so
she
she's in the
probably
ship.
would break
A
something.
leg. Like she got up and walked without a limp. And I'm thinking, well, I guess there are people who can have falls like that, miraculously get up and
I wouldn't.
you know.
I would be laying there.
I would be
Crying.
dead. I would be dead. I'd be done. I'd throw in the towel.
Yeah, I'd be like, help me. I guess I'd have to burn myself alive with the flame.
Oh my God.
Thrower.
Right. So, but she doesn't. She's
No, yeah,
able
she's
to,
actually a
she's able
tough
to get up.
person.
Yeah, she gets up and she gets to a point in the ship. I guess it's like a control center.
Okay, this scene is
sort
the
of.
only thing where I'm like, that's so lame.
It's kind
The
of weird.
stupid like cubey looking.
Yeah,
the CG is so bad on it.
It's not great, but
It looks like a sci-fi movie, like a sci-fi channel movie.
Yes.
It's that level of bad.
the Sander thing is there, and he basically is chasing her around now. She grabs a grenade
Yeah.
as the thing pulls her out of the tunnel that she's crawled into, and basically
Chucks one in his mouth.
and that is Sander, and that is kill number 11.
Yeah.
Because he blows up and he destroys, in the process, also destroys the ship's engine or power or whatever.
Yeah. I don't,
Because all of a sudden it powers down.
yeah.
And all the lights that had come on and the sounds that it was making, everything just goes quiet. So yeah, kind of an interesting, but yeah, he's dead. Number 11.
Yeah. Grenades. They'll do that to you.
Yeah.
And this is like the first instance where like the thing kind of looked like the most impressive. Like it's big, and this is like the most badass it's looked, I think.
Yeah.
It was like almost like it's evolving and getting bigger and bigger each time.
Right.
And so this was like the big finale baddie
Mhm.
moment, and it looks cool, even though it's the CG. Because this is another instance where I saw what it looked like before, and it's just frustrating. You're like, God damn it, could have been so much cooler.
Yes. So they end up getting back up to the surface, and they're back at the snowcat. Carter gets in and tells Kate, put the flamethrower in the back, and she stays outside. And she says something like,
she is like mentions something about metal, doesn't she? Like it can't create metal or something.
she says, well, what she says was, I think the line is, I think I have it here. Yeah. She says, You know how I knew you were human back
That's
at the
right.
camp? Your earring. Well, Carter has no earring now. He reaches up, tugs at his right ear, which has the earring in it. Kate says it was the other ear.
Yeah.
And then she douses him and lights him up.
This is a cool scene too, because like you see the thing, realize, fuck, like I got to now try to like talk her out of this, and
Yes.
it's just the way his face instantly changes. You're like, dope.
Yep.
But yeah, she
Yep.
doesn't fall for it. She just lights his ass up.
Yeah. No, she does. Definitely does. And then he lets loose this incredible howl, this really inhuman scream. And,
Yeah, the sound design here is pretty cool.
It is very cool. I agree. Yeah. And then she gets into the other cat. And I had to go back and watch that again because I thought she was getting into the same cat. And I'm like, wait a minute, didn't she just burn this animal? Oh, no, it's a different one. Okay. Got it. I mean,
Yeah, this one's not burned to a crisp.
no.
But yeah, she's on her way to another base, the Soviet base, which is about 50 miles away. So that's where
Right.
she's heading.
Yep. And we never see her
No,
again.
we don't know if she makes it or anything, but
Yep.
I'm just assume she did.
I think so.
I like that
I'm
idea
not
better.
counting her as a death or anything. I think she gets away. We never do see her again. And so now we get to the end credits, and you don't want to turn the credits off because there are scenes. There's 2 or 3 different scenes that come up every few seconds between
Yeah.
the credits here. And it cuts to a helicopter landing at the camp, and we see Collins, who was one of the scientists. He's dead. He has committed suicide.
Right. It's just
And-
cool because like he slit his wrist and you see like the blood frozen.
Yeah.
Like it's a cool looking scene.
Yeah. And he's sitting at the radio.
Yep.
And this is kill 13.
Yep.
And he slit his wrists, his own throat. And the helicopter pilot yells out if anyone's around, and a gun shoots at him. It's Lars, the only one left behind and not infected. And then a dog, an Alaskan Malamute, comes running out of a broken window. Lars tries to shoot it and doesn't hit it. Horrible shot, by the way. Can I just say?
It's pretty pathetic that
Because-
he couldn't take this thing out.
Then he takes several shots at him from the ground. Then he hops into the helicopter, and the pilot, they go up, and he's like, chase the dog. And even chasing the dog, he still can't shoot
He
this
can't hit
thing.
it. He needed a flamethrower.
Right. Now, this scene is very cool because this is actually the opening scene of the 1982 film from John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And I actually had to go back and watch the beginning of the original also. And it's pretty cool what they
Yeah.
did. I mean, it's almost looks like the same dog.
It looks
Helicopter's
pretty
different,
darn,
but
identical.
it's-
I mean, they did a killer job on
They
it.
did. They
Even
really
like
did.
Even the lighting and like how it looks like the 80s version. Like
Yeah.
the quality kind of dips a tiny bit, which is kind of cool that they
Mhm.
were trying to match it that well.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. So it literally leads right into the original. So they did a very nice job.
Yeah, which is like, I mean,
with
if you're
this.
going to do a prequel, that's kind of a cool way to do it.
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting thing at the very beginning of the movie where Kate is listening to her headphones, and the song "Who Can It Be Now," which is a song by Men at Work, an Australian band from the early. Exactly. Well, this is a nod, an homage to the title of the science fiction novella this is based on, called "Who Goes There,"
Okay.
which was written by John W. Campbell Jr., which is what the original John Carpenter movie was based on. And so it was kind of cool that they used that song
That's fun.
intentionally
Yeah.
for that. And again, yeah, we were, we mentioned earlier that, the producers convinced the studio, Universal Studios, to allow them to do the prequel because they wanted just a remake. And the director said, no, don't want to do it. We can't improve on the original because it was one of his favorite films.
It's a classic, and we'll cover it here soon.
Yeah.
Because this is actually the first in a series of what we hope to do every month, where
Mhm.
we'll cover once a week. 1 week out of the month, a series.
Right.
And so this is the first one we decided to do, which
Yep.
we're like, let's make it a quick one.
Yep.
It's just 2 films.
Yep.
So it'll be a nice, quick little series. So yeah, next month we will be handling the classic
Right.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
And Shay Astor, who was on with us a couple of weeks ago, I know that she's excited about the original, so we may have her on for that to
That'd be fun, yeah.
chime in as well. But yeah, a good movie. Both of them,
Yeah,
great
honestly,
movies. Yeah.
I mean, it's a short series, but it's a series that I think all of them are extremely high marks from me.
Yeah. exactly.
Do you want to give the rating for it right now?
I'll give it an A.
Yeah, I think I'm. So you did A. I do stars because that's just what I like to do.
That's fine.
I just want to double check what I gave it. Okay, yeah, I gave it 4 stars.
Okay,
so
it's way up there.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's an incredible one, and not worth the hate that it seems to get.
Right.
I think a lot of that has to do with the CG, which is not the director's fault. Like or anyone involved in the movie. It's the studio's fault. So if you hate that, it's no one involved except for the studio's fault. So don't blame the movie.
Right.
Because the movie itself, I think, is still so much fun.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
I think it is too. Coming up next, we will get into the scare preview.
Welcome to Jaunty Haunts, the podcast about all things supernatural. After 30 years of keeping a secret, I'm finally ready to share with the world that I see ghosts. This podcast is all about getting spooky and connecting with others who might also sense, see, or feel things beyond the ordinary. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, let's connect, share, and maybe feel a little less crazy together.
You can listen to and binge Jaunty Haunts right now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you podcast. Stay spooky, ghoul friends.
Then I want to shout out to Courtney from Jaunty Haunts.
Yeah.
She had emergency surgery a couple of weeks ago, kind of sidelined her. She did not have a new episode of the podcast last week, but it was really cool because this past Monday, she did a 30-minute episode on the paranormal experiences she had in the hospital, which was very interesting to listen to. So get well, Courtney. I know you have a new episode coming back Monday. I'm going to be on that, actually. We're going to be talking about cryptids.
Nice.
All right, the scare preview. These are movies that are coming out here soon that Michael and I are both excited about. What is your scare preview?
My scare preview is The Woman in the Yard. This is directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, which he's got some pretty cool movies under his belt. He did Orphan.
Oh.
He did the House of Wax remake from 2005, which I thought was good. A lot of people didn't. It's a lot of fun, though. And he also did The Shallows, which was that shark movie with Blake Lively.
Right.
Yeah. So he's got some horror under his belt.
Yeah.
And this one, it's the kind of brief little premise is a woman in black appears on a family's front lawn and delivers a chilling warning. No one knows where she came from, what she wants, or when she will leave. And it is coming out March 28th.
Perfect. So my film is called Presence.
Ooh.
So, I love cryptids. I love vampire and werewolf movies. But really, if I have to pick a favorite subgenre, it's the haunted house.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. American horror film directed by Steven Soderbergh. It actually debuted at Sundance a year ago.
Okay.
And it'll be in movie theaters coming up on the 24th of this month. It's about a family that moves into a new house only to realize they are not alone. It stars Lucy Liu.
Ooh, I love her.
I do too. Julia Fox and Chris Sullivan. Presence coming out July 24th. So very excited to see that.
And I've heard that one's pretty experimental. So I'm kind of excited to see the twist that they have on a haunted house genre.
Yeah, I am too. So, and I like everybody involved in that project. So I'm thinking, this can be worth it. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hopefully, we'll see what happens here.
Keep our expectations appropriately leveled.
Thank you for joining us for episode 8 of Opening Kill. We always have a good time talking horror films.
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to get into a major franchise. This is a film that came out in 2018. Little known film called Halloween.
Yes, the first of the David Gordon Green series.
What I love about this film is it totally bypassed everything between the original first film from John Carpenter to now, and they just discarded that, and it's got its own little timeline here. And,
it's a good one.
So that will be next week. Subscribe to us, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, tell all your friends about us, and keep it coming.
Yep.
And you can email us too.
Oh yeah, you can email us. We have an email.
We do.
openingkillpod@gmail.com.
Any questions you have, or if you want to suggest a film, we're open to that as well.
Yeah, our ears are open for that.
Absolutely.
We'll listen to you.
All right, we will talk to you next week with the 2018 version of Halloween. Have a great week.
The Opening Kill podcast is hosted by Michael Duran and Brian O'Connor. It's produced by Mystic Cloud Productions. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram too. Join us next Thursday for a brand new episode.